Welcome back to Packs and Picks, and welcome to episode 2 of my Sorcery Gothic Escalation League update video series. At the end of the last video, we opened up some packs to add to our pool of cards for my Necromancer deck that I've got going right now. In this video, I'll go over the updates that I made to the deck, talk about some of the results from the games that I played since then, and then at the end of the video, we'll open up 3 more packs, add those cards to our pool, and see where we can go from there. So let's dive right in. So between the last video and now, I had to make some updates to my deck. Now over the course of the league, we're going to be increasing the size of our decks until we get to a constructed deck size. So we started with a 40 card spellbook and a 20 card atlas. For this second round of the league, we went to a 44 card spellbook and a 22 card atlas. So some of the changes that I made to the deck. So first off, I took out some cards and replaced them with others. I took out a Carrionet, a Snallygaster, a Bitter Departed, and a Screamer. And in their places, I put in a Stygian Archers. So Carrionet was one that summoned an undead minion from a cemetery to a nearby location. And I replaced that with just the same cost in a unit itself. So a really good unit in the form of Stygian Archers. I found, and this is going to be a recurring theme in my update, that I really had good targets in my graveyard or my cemetery that I wanted to reanimate with Carrionet, so I figured I would replace it just with a good threat in the Stygian Archers. I also replaced the Bitter Departed with a Broomstick Witch, so I found myself in my games really wanting some more airborne impact on the game, and so I replaced the 2-cost Bitter Departed with a 2-cost airborne Broomstick Witch. I had a Barging Barghest in the pool, so 3 cost, 3 attack, movement +1 and Void Walk. To me, this seemed like a pretty strict upgrade from the Snallygaster, so I replaced a Snallygaster with the Barging Barghest. And then I had a Gift of the Serpent in the pool that I swapped out a Screamer for. So the reason why I chose this was it says, give an allied minion lethal this turn to draw a spell. So I do like that it replaces itself in the form of drawing another spell. But I've also got a lot of skeletons in the deck, and one of the things that I find is that my skeletons will get outclassed in size pretty quickly, and so this is a way for skeletons to still take down a larger unit in the game. So I put that card in the deck in place of these 4. So in addition to that, we had to get up to 44 cards. I added in a few other cards. So I added back in a Novice Necromancer. This is one card we took out in the first round to make room for some other cards, but since our deck's getting bigger, I'm putting this back in, give us more skeleton tokens. I also added a one-shot wizard. I really like that this shoots a projectile. It has the option to shoot a projectile when it comes in, which can be really helpful against opposing skeletons or ward tokens. This is a fun one, Stagecoach. I haven't had a chance to play with this yet, but has charge and can carry any number of minions. So I'm just excited to try this out and see what kind of results I can get with maybe loading up a bunch of skeletons in the Stagecoach. And then Ravenous Werewolf. This was a larger unit. I love the charge. I love the movement +1. So I wanted a nice threat, and this seemed like a good one. So I added that into the deck. So that made up our 44 card spellbook. On the Atlas side, added in a few things. So a Vast Desert, really like for skeletons and ward tokens. Open Mausoleum gets us a skeleton. And then Forsaken Crypt gets us a ghoul from our collection. These really replaced some basic spires and wastelands in our deck, and then I did have to add in a couple spires and wastelands to keep it up to 22 in the spellbook. So there's still some room in the Atlas to upgrade our basic sites in the as the league goes on, so we'll be looking out for sites there. All right, so as far as the updates go for the matches, I ended up playing 2 games against Harbinger and 1 against Savior. In my games against the Harbinger, I found my deck curve is just too low. I'm trying to be too fast, too aggressive, and if I don't close out the game really quickly with my skeletons, then bigger units, and they don't even have to be that big, just 3, 4, 5 power units, or good units with some good synergy on my opponent's side, my skeletons get outclassed pretty quickly. A lot of the stuff I do with Detonate or Bone Spear does 3 damage, so things that have 4 toughness, 4 power, are really challenging for me to deal with. So my curve, I feel, is a little bit too low. Now, one of the games I lost against Harbinger, I lost both games against Harbinger. One of them, they did roll their sites, were my home site and the one right in front of it, so that didn't make it easy. but I still think my curve is a little too low. So as we go into deck building for this next round, I'm going to be looking to bump my curve up a little bit, try to find a couple higher cost units that I can put in there, because my games have been going long enough that I will be able to get higher costed units out. My third game I played against Savior, and it was a really close game. But what ended up being the death of me was Savior ended up turtling on a consecrated ground, and majority of my deck is evil. So it was really difficult to sneak in and be able to do the last few points of damage on Savior. So this could be one of the notches in the belt of putting more mortals and beasts in the Necromancer deck that I have. We've got a couple of those hollow ones, willing tributes that we've seen. So this could be an option or a reason for us to switch away from as much evil. Just depends on what we end up playing with. It might have been a unique case too, playing against that one particular Savior player. So that was my results from League. Not an impressive turnout for myself, losing 3 games in the last matchups, but it's all right. As far as what we're looking for in the next few packs, I pulled out some cards that I'm looking to replace. So Stitched Abomination, I've drawn this a few times in my games, and it's been pretty underwhelming. I might have mentioned it before, but I don't have a lot of big units in my deck. So as far as banishing things from my cemetery, this ends up being like a 7-cost 5-power unit with no other abilities, and or maybe even a 7-cost 6 power, just vanilla unit. And that's at the top end really in the games that I've played. So I'd like to find something that's a little more impactful. So I'll be probably swapping this out with the next round of the league. And as maybe our deck gets more, or my deck gets more impactful creatures, I might bring them back in. Pile of Skulls. This was one that I was optimistic about. I put this in after the first round of the league. And once per turn, we can banish a card from a cemetery to summon a skeleton token here. I haven't really drawn this, and when I did draw it, I just wanted it to be a 5-cost unit more often than not. Playing 5 and then getting 1 skeleton is not as exciting as, say, paying 5 and getting a 4-power airborne unit, something like that. So, been underwhelmed with that. Necromancer, I think my deck is a little too, how would you say, like, I've got a lot of similar units. I've got a lot of skeletons in the play area when this comes out. I was able to draw 2 cards off of Necromancer when I resolved this, so I don't have a huge diversity of undead. So this is one that I might be looking to replace with some other card advantage. And then similarly, Those Who Linger, 6 cost, 4 power, dies into a ghoul, that then dies into a skeleton, so it's just like constantly replenishing itself. This one, I don't really have any problem with it right now, but if something nicer comes along, maybe some 5 cost, 5 power something with a good ability comes along, this would be one that I might cut as well. So those are the things that I'm looking to cut from the deck. As with the previous round, our deck size is going to go up in the next edition of the league, so we will have some more slots to play with as we build out the deck. But let's crack into some packs, see what cards we have to add to our pool, and we'll go from there. All right, so we got Road to Perdition. An exceptional sight, target nearby evil gains or loses 1 power this turn. And it's a fire sight, so that could be a candidate for us. All right, we got Fatality. It's in our colors. Kill target wounded minion. All right, I do like the look of this. We've got a lot of skeletons that can go out and do ping 1 point of damage that then Fatality could finish off, and it's in our colors, so I do like that. Undead Ambush, summon a skeleton token to each other site adjacent to target enemy. Really like this card. I had this during pre-release, and I like its ability to get skeleton tokens further into enemy territory because you target a site to each other site adjacent to target enemy. So you can target somebody in that third row, and then you can get a skeleton in the back row. So I do like Undead Ambush. Might find a way for that to get into our deck. Temple of Moloch, a unique site. Once on each player's turn, they may sacrifice a minion here to gain 2. All right, I do like the sounds of this. We've got lots of skeletons, incidental skeletons running around in our deck, and being able to sacrifice them to escalate or to accelerate out a larger unit sounds really good. So far this pack has been really awesome, I think, for our pool. All right, Static Servant, we've seen those before. Sewer Rats, Plague Rat. I don't have any Plague Rats in right now. They're basically like a skeleton that comes with lethal, so that might be a case for our deck. Torch and Pitchfork. I've seen this come up in a couple of sealed games. Ordinary Bearer has nearby ordinary allies have +1 power. So our skeletons are ordinary, and this can be a kind of a mini Witching Hour or mini Panpipes effect for our units. Might find a home in our deck. Baptize, another Den of Evil, Screamer, Gift of the Raven. Choose an allied minion. Next time they strike a unit this turn, the damage heals you. Draw a spell. Okay, so that's in our pool. And a Shoggoth. Oh, we got another one. And Trial by Water. So a decent number of water cards in that pack. We got 1 or 2 more packs to go. A lot of good options, though, from that one. I really like the sites. Like I mentioned, we have some slots open still for sites in our deck. All right, we got a Barging Barghest. This is a really great card. It's awesome to have another one in the pool. I might end up swapping another one of our Snallygasters for this Barging Barghest. Monstermorphosis, Zeppelin of Zealots. I think we have another one of these in the pool. If we are having a hard time with evil hate, people building decks to be against evil, we might think about switching over to Mortals. We've got a Water Sight, Landmass, Bless, Second Wind. We've got an Open Grave, Flame Strike. So choose cardinal direction from the caster, deal damage to each unit at affected location. So some more burn spells. It's fire, might make it into the deck. Lure, Carrion Beetles, and Ignited. Grief Larva. I think we have one of these in our deck right now, and I still like this card. So having a second one to put some grief on our opponents sounds like a nice time. And then a basic Ghoul and Silent Hills. All right, so a couple good options there. Let's see what pack 3 has to bring. All right, got the Base of Babel, Earthsight. Okay, this is kind of fun. We've got a Harbinger, so we have another avatar accessible to us in our pool. So I'm not sure what I'll make of this yet, but we can keep this in the back of our minds as maybe we want to pivot to Harbinger if our pool looks like it's going to be a Harbinger pool. So kind of fun there. All right, we got Gravedigger, Blightstone, an elite relic. What is this? This site is disabled. Okay. So I'm not sure how impactful that's going to be in sealed, but this could be a toolbox item for later on in the league as people's decks get better and better and maybe more sites become linchpins for their decks. Keep that in mind. 10-ton slug, very popular in water. Gift of the Frog, Dreadwing. So I know I cut a Dreadwing earlier in the Escalation League because of the card disadvantage that it kind of wants you to buy into. But this is a large, airborne, powerful unit that I am looking for, so it could find its way into our deck. Nice, and a Cursed Desert. This performed really well for me. We've got 1 in our Atlas so far. Might find its way in. Penitent Knight. Foil Orm Infester. Like that. Vandal Imp. Return to Nature. Another Ignited. A Vast Desert, so I do like the Vast Deserts, and another Ghoul. Okay, so I like this. We've got a lot of good options for us in these 3 packs. I think some of these are definitely going to make their way in. Undead Ambush, Fatality, those couple of sites we opened early on, and then the Barging Barghest for sure. Some of these others I'll have to go to the workshop and see if we can get them a slot in the deck. And that's the update for this month. Stick around. We're going to be doing more of these as every new league session ends. So stay tuned for the next update, and we'll talk to you soon.